Oh, here we go.
There we go. All right. Aloha and welcome to everybody. Here we go. We've got another one, another fascinating Kahuakai, a journey where we talk to folks who have a Polynesian collection of some kind and they're on the mainland now and how they deal with it or how they making the most of it. We um we've just met online. Today my guest is Eric Moon, who lives in Chicago. And so, but I mean, some fascinating things that I found out already. So we'll make it nice and easy. Right off the bat, Eric, you're a medical doctor.
Yeah, yeah.
You have what do they call it? The thing you do. Are you
What's
like a
that?
GP or what?
Oh, emergency medicine. Emergency. So like
Wow,
you go to the emergency room, that's I'm the guy.
that takes probably a lot more knowledge than your average doctor, I would think.
Ah, I wouldn't say that. Everybody's got, depending on what you're in, you got to go more deep into that field. So I know a little bit about a lot of stuff, but any one of those things that I know something about, there's somebody that knows a lot more about it. So, everybody's got their their angle. So,
Yeah, because I'm just thinking the variety of things that would come in through the door. Like,
yeah, it's not a fun job. When you're young, it seems exciting
yeah.
and
And
attractive.
so,
But it's old
you know,
fast.
I know you guys have what they call residency and all that, but basically, if I would ask you, how long have you been a doctor? How long have you been a doctor?
Well, 24 years now. I graduated in 2000, so I was a doctor at that point, and then from 2000 to 2004, I had to do my residency. So I still wasn't working independently. I was still training. At that point, I was training in emergency
Yeah.
medicine. So that was 4 years, and so I've been out on my own since 2004. So 20 years, I guess now.
And my geography is awful, but you live in Chicago, or do you live
Actually,
kind
I
of
was in Chicago um, for about 20 years. But I mean, about 10 years ago, I was tired of the city and I moved 45 minutes across the border. We're in Indiana now. I call it Indy-Aina.
cool, cool?
Yeah.
And you gave me a little bit of preamble, I guess. You live on a property.
Yeah, that's why I moved. I wanted to get into the country, more nature and get some land, which is unaffordable by Chicago. So I came out here. I got 10 acres
It's
and
awesome.
I just love it. That's probably what's keeping me here.
Yeah. So I mean, is it very rural? Like you got to do like hours of mowing and
Um, well, the the yard itself is maybe, I don't know, half an acre. The rest of it, which I love, is just an oak tree forest. It's all woods.
okay.
So the mowing, not a whole lot. It's not that big a deal, but the hard part is trees falling down, branches falling down, all that kind of stuff. Because that's hard to clean up and get rid of.
I'm
I
just
carved a
curious
tree
because
once
like
when I first
here in
started.
Minnesota,
What's that?
here in Minnesota, there's a lot of farmers,
Yeah, yeah.
and I got a friend. His wife mows, and it takes her like 6 hours to mow,
Oh yeah, no, I don't
riding
got
the
nothing like
mower,
that. No, I can do my
riding the
whole
mower.
yard in a little over an hour, maybe 2 hours. Uh, hour, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's fun too
Okay.
when the weather's nice. Get outside.
Yeah. And I know there's probably some people that are going to watch this that pick up on your last name right away. I know it did for me when I heard it. And you are related to the late great Peter Moon,
Yeah, yeah. He was my father's cousin,
father's first cousin.
first cousin. Yeah. So
Okay.
my grandfather was Suk Moon. His brother was Wook Moon. Wook Moon is Peter Moon's father. So,
Yeah. And I've never met him, but there's a Matt Moon in Minnesota.
yeah, that's my cousin. He's my first cousin. He's son of my dad's brother from his first marriage. So yeah, him
Okay.
and Shannon both in Minnesota over there.
Sounds good. Well, hopefully one of these days I'll get to meet you and or him. So I'm looking forward to it. You're trying to put something together, possibly a community event at Visaggio's.
Oh wait, you know what? I'm
Or
not
talk
sure.
about it?
Oh, did you get that off of from the Chicago page? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm not sure. I just remember somebody saying they were trying to put it together, like a meet and greet kind of thing, or just everybody come together and
I'm not
hang
sure
out.
where
Or
that's coming from. There's some lines getting crossed. My wife works at Viaggio's. It's a nice Italian restaurant in Chicago.
okay,
She just went back to bartending. I had my hip replacement. I told you about that, and so I was going to be off work for a while. And somebody just asked her if she wants to bartend. It was good timing because I wasn't going to be working. So she went back to bartending for a little bit. But she
okay,
works at Visaggio's, or Viaggio's. But we were talking to another guy, my good buddy up here in Chicago, Keegan Moon, uh, Howley guy, no relation, but he
okay.
owns a restaurant, and we're trying to talk to him about possibly having a day in the summertime where we play Hawaiian music and he serves Hawaiian food, and we can just get everybody to come together. I think that might be the
That's
one you.
what I read, but I guess I mixed the two restaurants up.
Yeah, I wonder how that happened. So, are you in our Chicago group or Chicago?
Yeah, I recently joined, probably maybe not even a month ago.
Okay, so that's where you saw that. Then.
Yeah, because I Chicago is on my to-do list, hopefully within the next year. Um, do you know uh Jose Jeverola, Fire Knife guy,
No, no, is that?
Filipino kid, Filipino kid, and he lives in Chicago.
I think I saw him. I think maybe from our group. I think he joined our group because I saw he got long hair.
No, not too long.
Because I seen some Filipino guy that was a fire. Maybe I don't know. Maybe was he on your podcast?
Yeah,
Maybe that's yeah. Okay, maybe I saw him from there. Then I think that's
okay, yeah.
might have seen him there.
So, and I've known him now for 4 years, going on five. And so he always talks about fun things to go in Chicago. We almost got there spring of 21. We went to Kentucky to go see the Ark replica thing.
Like the
And
Bible art.
so, yeah,
Well, I didn't even know about that. That's
yeah,
cool.
they've got a life size full on walk around inside.
That sounds
It's
cool.
it's amazing. And for me, at my age, I was amazed by the logistics. Like everything was designed to, like washing and cleaning was all designed to use gravity.
Oh yeah. So
So
how
you
did they
could
get the specs for it? How do they know it's like what the actual Bible one was? I know in the Bible it says like the measurements and all that, but how did they get like the angles of? Or are they just guessing? Must be just guessing, huh?
I'm not sure. But it looks like an arc to me.
Yeah, yeah, maybe
So
one day check it
uh,
out.
it's somewhere like that. But when we took that trip, we came sort of close to Chicago. We went up to Cincinnati, and so one of these days I got to get to Chicago. And I'm always reading about New York and Chicago, bragging about their pizza. So I said, oh, I gotta go. And then I know New York, I always hear about it, but the other thing that kind of just for some reason fascinates me. I'm kind of a foodie,
Yeah.
but you guys have hot dog carts, street vendor.
Oh yeah, the hot dogs. To tell you the truth, I like the hot dogs better than the pizza, man. The hot dogs are
Oh,
great,
okay.
and they just pile everything on there, man. Like not the hot dog, and you're not supposed to put ketchup, I guess, up here. Back home we put ketchup on, but they'll put ketchup if you want. But they also get the celery salt, the sport peppers, relish, onions if you like onions, tomatoes they put on there. They just load the thing up. It's like you barely fit in the bun. It's they're good, man. Italian beef. Do you guys get Italian beef up in Minnesota?
Not unless it's got a different name, but
When you got to get Italian beef with giardiniera too. That's the hot peppers that they got. That's my favorite thing from Chicago is the giardiniera. It's I guess I'm right here on my Ditka's. You see that?
now Ditka, as in Mike Ditka.
Yeah, yeah, he owns it. I'll send you a bottle later on. Give me your address, and then I'll send you a bottle of the Jardinere. That's my by far my favorite. I used to send it home to all my friends because it goes with anything, any kind of meat. Just put it on there. It's good.
Wow. And I
It's
haven't
funny.
had
I'm
lunch
just
yet.
sitting at our dinner table, and we just keep it there with the salt and pepper. Put it on everything.
Yeah, just with membership in the Frozen Ohana, I've come across things I pulled in, different stuff people are using and they share it, and so I order it and pull it in, and it's hard because I probably am the most extreme in going off the rail and eating stuff. I've got my grandson is like that, a granddaughter that's 80%, but as far as being gutsy and take a chance on food, not everybody is like that.
Yeah.
So tell us where it all began. Where were you born?
So I think I was born at Kapilani Women and Children's. That's a hospital, right? Kapilani
Yeah,
Women and
yeah.
Children. I forget already. I've been away so long. I've been away almost 30 years. I was born over there, and then I grew up. I lived in Mililani pretty much my whole childhood from when I was born all the way till high school graduation, 1988. And then I went to UH, so I was living in the dorms in Manila.
Awesome, awesome. Now, so I think you mentioned your dad's family is pretty. Your dad's side is pretty sizable as far as brothers, sisters, first cousins.
I got a bunch of aunties and uncles and some cousins. I wouldn't say we got a big family though. It's pretty small family compared to most people. And then my mother's side, I don't really know them at all. They're all in my mom's from Idaho, Howley. So my dad's Korean, and my mom is Caucasian, Danish, Dutch, actually a little Native American too. But she's from Idaho, and all her family's Idaho um, out there. So I don't really know them too much.
But through your childhood and like high school, teen years, you lived with your mom in Mililani.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
My dad, I don't want to get too much into it, but my dad wasn't home very much. They got divorced in, I think I was in sixth grade or seventh grade. But even before that, I didn't see my dad too much. But we're tight now. We're real close. I talk to him all the time, and always see him when I go home.
Yeah.
But
Sometimes it's
we had
just
a late
a
start.
matter of time going by.
Yeah, yeah.
And you graduated from what high school?
Iolani. I was telling you I'm a Red Raider because I like people to think Kahuku, but yeah, it was Iolani.
Now, do you know Kermit Apio, the stand-up comic from Hawaii out of Seattle?
Yeah, I don't know him,
Oh,
but I remember him because he was a real popular guy. I think he was an athlete, so he was popular from that. I think he's like 4 or 5 years older than me. But I
okay. I
remember
just
him
wondered.
giving us,
I just
yeah,
wondered
he was
time-wise if you guys were there at the same time.
he was some kind of student president or something. You know how they got the politics, and he was in that. I remember him giving speeches, so that's how I really. And then I
Oh,
seen his
wow.
comedy, and I seen him. He can play music too. I seen he's a talented guy.
And
I know he is. He doesn't know me, but yeah, I know he is.
surprisingly, all that musical is after his teen self-taught.
Oh yeah, that's great.
I was blown away because I asked him. I did a thing with him too, and I thought, he's probably from 3 years old. Dad passed him a guitar. He goes, no, never touched the guitar till after high school. And I thought, holy
Wow.
moly, and to be self-taught too. I mean, that's just amazing to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if you know, he puts on a Wednesday Facebook Live thing every week where he plays music.
Music.
Yeah,
Let's check that out. I want to see
and
his
it's
comedy
nice
again.
to,
I saw his comedy on YouTube a couple times. He's a funny guy too.
yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
He travels a lot, been doing it for a long, long time, and knows bunches and bunches. I just read a thing this morning I shared where 12 years ago he opened for the Smothers Brothers.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah,
Jeez.
because Tommy just passed away, so he that reminded him, and so he brought up the little story, and it just sounds so cool. But yeah, I didn't know time wise if you guys would have been at Iolani at the same time or not. So
He was quite a bit ahead of me. So like I was maybe eighth grade, and he was a senior or something like that.
Mm.
He was pretty far ahead. So I'm
So
sure.
you attended UH and then directly to Chicago from there?
Um, after I finished school in Hawaii, yeah, I didn't go directly through college. I took a real windy
Leave of
path to
absence.
college. What's that?
Leave of absence.
Yeah. Well, I didn't take a leave of absence, but I just it was this funny. My third year of college, I was like, oh great, next year I should be graduating, right? So I went to the college counselor. You should have come seen us 3 years ago because you got to take this class before you take that class. And yeah, I was busy doing a lot of things other than studying in college, so it took me a while to get there. Yeah, 6 year
So,
plan.
but and then you mentioned you chose Chicago because of your jiu-jitsu connection, kind of, right?
Yeah, I'm actually not in. I don't even do jujitsu now, and I haven't done it for many years. But when I was living in Hawaii from '91 to '96, that was probably the most important thing to me. All my best friends are still out there. They're black belt teachers under Helson Gracie, who's one of the pioneers, and I was pretty passionate about it back then. I kind of lost my way, and I never finished, but back then it was important to me. So one of the criteria for where I was going to go was someplace where they had jujitsu, and Helson's cousin, Carlson Gracie, had just moved to the area. So it was there weren't very many places in America where you could actually go. I think Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, and they might have had it in Florida at the time, but it was really just L.A., New York, and then it was just getting started in Chicago. So that's why I chose Chicago.
That was back in the early stages then, because
Oh yeah.
I mean, you look around and it's everywhere now.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, the first UFC was 1993, and it was 1996 when I moved. And I don't know if you remember before the UFC, people. I mean, you go back and look at movies before the UFC, and the fight scenes are just ridiculous. There was nothing realistic in there, and yeah, it changed a lot. But yeah, that's why I came up here. But even I never really kept going with it. But I did actually fight in some of the first mixed martial arts shows in Chicago. And I would have never did that back home. It's not because I'm a tough guy. It's because I wanted to see if I could protect myself. And because I didn't know anybody, I didn't have to worry about making ass in front of all my friends and everybody. So I got my butt kicked. Nobody's gonna know. So that's the only
There you
reason. Well, I'm really glad I did. It did a lot for just getting in there and being a. I think everybody's afraid. I don't think there's too many people that'll tell you that when they get in there, they're not afraid. I think most of them that say that are probably lying. So it's just something about getting in there and being afraid and then just getting through it, win or lose, just for your confidence. And it's just incredible what it does for your confidence. But
Oh yeah, and then I've heard, dialogue in the past where they say that everyone's afraid, but it's a matter of controlling it and
yeah,
using it to your advantage or whatever. And
yeah. So somebody said, I forget who it was, but he says you can't have courage without fear, because if you have no fear, then what's the big deal? It's so courage is facing fear. So
yeah, awesome. So, and then you had recent hip surgery in the early moments we got on video here. You look like you're getting around pretty good.
yeah, it's a little over 2 weeks, and I'm really amazed. And it's not me. It's just the technology is so good now. I have a friend that had his hip replaced too. He's a little bit older than me, different surgeon, but same thing. Couple days of pain, about a week hobbling around on a cane, and then you're pretty much up with just a little bit of a limp. Didn't really need pain meds after the first couple of days.
Wow.
It's come a long way from the old days.
Now you shared an X-ray thing that showed the new equipment, and I know nothing about the procedure, but the hip replacement piece looks like it goes down into like your femur. Is that
Yeah, yeah. There's a long rod that goes down the middle of of the femur bone. They cut the the head off, and they jam that metal down. And if you watch a video on it, it's pretty brutal. It's not like some, really. It's they're like construction workers, man. They're in there, bang, 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 hammering around, pulling stuff, wiggling, trying to get it in. It's pretty brutal to watch. In fact, somebody told me don't. I just know this from residency when I was doing ortho rotations. I didn't watch a video, of my procedure for this, but it's one of the nurses told me, whatever you do, don't go online and watch a video because that's how barbaric it is. It's more like construction than medicine.
But necessary, obviously.
Yeah, it's my legs already. I mean, I'm still limping a little bit because the muscles are sore where they went in, but as far as my hip pain goes, my hip pain's gone, and I can move it better. It's cool.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
And so quality of life is just going to be that much better.
I hope so. There's my doctor said I can do almost anything. Actually, even starting now, my physical therapist is holding me back a little bit because he doesn't want me to go too fast. But there's certain things like certain movements of the leg that he said I probably shouldn't do ever, from this point because they can, if you bend it in a certain way and it's under force, like certain yoga moves or something, you can dislocate it. So that's the main concern.
So up till your surgery, were you like in constant pain, or just every now and then it would hurt?
No, I went in 2 years ago to see this guy for my knee. I actually had a knee issue. And he says, I want to look at your hip too, because a lot of times when you've got knee problem, it's from a hip issue. And then so he did an x-ray of my hip, and he told me, you got severe arthritis in your hip. And I was like, no, I don't. I don't have, it didn't even bother me. No, I didn't have any pain. It'd been stiff for years, but I thought I just needed to stretch or something. But he told me that. I'm like, I'm not going to listen to this guy. And then sure enough, about a year later, the hip started hurting. And I'm like, shoot, he was right. And it was pretty bad for a little while. But I went in to get some steroid injections. So they inject like a cortisone type steroid into your hip, right in the joint, and it calms down all the inflammation. So that took my pain all the way. I'd say 3 months it would last. So I had to get two of those, and then I just figured, everybody I talked to that had a hip replacement, the one thing they all said was, I wish I did it sooner. So I just figured, I obviously am going to need this. I'm just going to get it done. So that's what I did.
You know, some of the things you just said remind me. I can be hard headed, and I'll go in and get recommendation from a medical expert and not listen to him. And my wife goes, "Oh yeah, just 8 years of school. What do they know?
Yeah, and
You
however
know
many
more
years he's been
than you."
practicing on top of that, right?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's like you got to listen to somebody who knows what they're talking about. So
Yeah.
it's it's
But I mean, he
pretty
didn't
cool.
push me to surgery. He said, so I asked him, when am I going to need surgery? And he told me, you tell me when you need surgery. When you need surgery, come to me and I'll do it. And so it's really hard to take that leap though. Knowing that they're going to go in and cut your bone off and that's it. You can never go back, and all the
Yeah.
potential things that could go wrong. But yeah, I'm glad I did it though.
Now, from an outsider's perspective, did you get the surgery at the hospital you work at?
Oh no.
Oh,
So I work at right now for the last 4 years. 4 years ago, was it? Yeah, 4 years, 2020. I moved out to this real small hospital. It's about an hour east of me. Um, it's very slow there. They don't have any. It's basically just a small inpatient side with an emergency room, and anybody that needs anything, there's no consultants or anything there. We transfer them out to bigger hospitals if they need anything
okay.
major. So, but I moved out there because we work 20. It's slow enough. We do 24-hour shifts, and then I only have to work 7 days a month. So, it's after working in Chicago, 16, 12-hour shifts a month. That was really rough, man. And I was in the bad part of Chicago too, where you get all the gang violence, the drugs, the homelessness, all that stuff. All of that comes through the ER, and it was just, it just makes you lose faith in humanity and just get a bitter outlook on life, just being around that all
Yeah.
the time. You know?
Oh, I asked about the hospital because my my mind takes off in crazy directions. I'm thinking, you go in and your softball buddy is doing the surgery on your hip or something.
Nah, I believe it or not, I'm an independent contractor too. So you can either work for a big company that pays you as an employee, and then you get all the benefits of that, or you can be an independent contractor and they pay you on a 1099, and they have to get your own insurance, do your own retirement. So the advantages are you get a lot of tax benefits, and you can put a lot more money away for retirement before taxes than you could if you were an employee. But the
Wow, that's
downside is you got to get your own insurance, and I got to buy it on the marketplace, so I don't get any like nice employee insurance. I got a really bad insurance plan. It's not cheap; it's very expensive. It just doesn't cover, a lot of stuff. If I wanted to go out of my little network in Northwest Indiana, like if I wanted to go to Chicago, they would cover zero. So I was
wow.
really disappointed I couldn't go to some of the doctors in Rush that I knew were like really good. But I found a guy that's really good out here. I'm really lucky I found him.
Wow. I never stopped to think about there even being that kind of situation where you could be an independent contractor as a doctor.
Yeah, yeah. I got
Yeah.
a lot of us have terrible insurance, believe it or not. People always can't wrap their head around that, but
Learn
yeah,
something new every day.
yeah.
And so, do you have siblings?
Is that?
Do you have siblings?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Siblings. Yeah, I got a older brother. My older brother actually left Hawaii. Geez, must have been like 1988, 1989, something. He went to college and he was at Chaminade, and he had seemed like me. We all were lost kids. He had you a lot of issues that he had to work out, and he decided for some of the things he had to get away from his friends and get away from Hawaii because he was in some bad. So anyway, he went to Spokane, Washington. He got a scholarship for soccer out there, which he always loved. He played for St. Louis, and man, he did a lot with soccer. He played on the team out there in college, then he ended up coaching. He started his own little thing where he does training camps and drives his kids all over the country to compete with other kids. He made a big business out of it. For a little while, he played semi-pro, and then he was coaching the women's team at the same school that he went to for
Wow.
for many years, probably a couple decades. And then just recently this year, they made him head coach for the boys team, and they did really well. So he went up there for soccer. He stayed up there, and then made soccer his career actually. And then I have a younger brother who's in law enforcement. He's actually I don't know when you left Hawaii, but you remember Ben Cayetano,
Yeah.
The governor. My brother used to work for the sheriff's department, and he was the driver for Ben Cayetano. So he would actually like he was a deputy for the sheriff's department, but he was more like a chauffeur. He would go everywhere. But he told me he had to take all these defensive driving classes and stuff. And
But that would
um,
be fun.
he's in law enforcement basically. He's not with the sheriff's department anymore. He was I think he was no, he wasn't with HPD, but he was with sheriff's department. Then he was with Department of what do they call it out there? Out here it's just DNR. I think over there's DNLR, Department of Land and Natural Resources. And that
Yeah,
job
yeah.
looked like a fun job, man. He'd be on jet skis or boats. He would be going around up in the mountains, wherever it looked like he was playing all the time. He used to post pictures of that. And then he actually got an offer from this guy, this rich, like a literal billionaire in Florida. I forget the teams. He owns two sports teams. He's some oil and natural gas, like super rich guy. He was recruiting people for his home security, and so he took my brother. But then that was a disaster because he had to give up his time in the city or the county or whatever he was working
His
for.
seniority that he built
Yeah,
up.
all of that. He gave it up to go to this job, which was looked on paper like it's 6 years, all this living with a billionaire, all this kind of stuff. But he was working for a security company. They changed the security company, and then they laid him off and brought new people in. So, and then now he's screwed. So But he came back. Now he's working in law enforcement again, mostly on the west side out Waianae and all that. He's not a cop. I don't really understand exactly what he does. Something about warrants and things like that, investigations. I'm not. He still carries a gun and has a badge, but it's not like HPD. I don't really
Yeah.
know the details of what it is. But he's back in law enforcement again, fortunately.
So, but now all of you collectively kind of lived in Mililani growing up.
Yeah. The three brothers and my dad was there too, but he was he worked a lot. He worked hard and he wasn't home a lot. And so it was mostly I mean he lived there, technically, but we didn't see a whole lot of him in the beginning. Um, and so it was just my three brothers and my mom most of the time.
Yeah. Now, growing up in high school, then you sound like you were um, distracted by extracurricular things. But did you play
Yeah,
sports
yeah.
in high school or?
I did briefly. Um, so I didn't play a lot of sports. I wasn't, when I was a little kid, I was kind of athletic, but I think I told you I used to get picked on and bullied. My mom raised me, so I didn't really have a lot of local culture growing up. And my mom, I just realized this a few years ago, but when my mom had me in Hawaii, she had only been in Hawaii for 2 years, so she knew nothing about Hawaii really, as far as so. I so I didn't go to the beach much growing up. I was really, super pale, hapa haole. I got green eyes, and so I used to get bullied a lot whenever I went outside, and I kind of turned into an introvert, and so I didn't really, not just not play sports. I just for a long time didn't even interact with people. I had to come out of this shell. And actually, I credit my little brother because my little brother got into breaking, break dancing back in the '80s, and then I kind of just started copying him, and I got pretty good at a few things, and that kind of got me a few friends in high school, and then from there, well, from there, it was the end of my life. I was so disappointed when breaking went out of style. I think it was only 1 year it was in style, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh, that sucks." I was like, "What? That's my key to being popular. That's my key to having friends. You can't take that away from me." But so that went into graffiti because that's the hip hop culture. So for a little while I was running around doing. So I was doing bad things. I never got into drugs, but I was drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, chewing tobacco, that kind of thing, and hanging out with people that did all kinds. But in the back of my head, I always knew I wanted to do something later on. So it was all an act. I wasn't really a bad kid, but I wanted to pretend that I was a bad kid to kind of. So I stayed away from drugs, but I drank a lot, I smoked a lot, and I was a bad kid. And then I eventually fell in with some kids that in Ilani that they kind of accepted me, and they were all wrestlers. So I went wrestling in my junior year, and then I started off wrestling my senior year, but I was kind of still hanging around too many bad kids, and would rather after school go drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes than actually work hard at a skill.
Yeah.
So it took me a long time to figure my life out. I was pretty backwards back then.
Well, looking at the stuff behind you, looks like as far as culture, you're making up for lost time.
I'm trying to. Man, I got to tell you, it's so. I told you this in the email, but when I moved to Chicago in '96, I think I had maybe 6 to 8 cassette tapes of Hawaiian music and 2 or 3 CDs. And eventually, there's no way to even play them. But I think I stopped listening to them long before that. And I was spending so much time trying to figure out how to fit in Chicago all over again. Just like I couldn't fit in Hawaii growing up, and now I'm in Chicago and I don't fit in again. And I was like just trying to figure out, what kind of. When I was in medical school, this is what really got me down this path. There's a girl in my medical school class. No joke. She actually said this to me, and she's my friend on Facebook. She probably doesn't remember this, but I hope she sees it. But she actually told me, "You're a pretty good looking guy, but no girl will ever go out with you if you're going to wear just t-shirts and gym shoes all the time." And that just blew me away because in Hawaii, we don't think about that kind of stuff. Well, I think, unfortunately, I think they do now. It's different now. Everybody's trying to be like the mainland, but back when we were growing up, t-shirt and jeans and gym shoes, that was dressing up to go out. That's how you did it.
Yeah,
And then
that's
she
all you
told me this. I
needed.
was like,
Oh,
I just couldn't comprehend that. And then after that, I was like, okay, what kind of clothes do I got to go? I go to the store, you know, ask the lady, I'd buy a shirt and some pants, and then I'd go out with my friends. They'd make fun of me because I got the wrong thing. So, man, I spent so long trying to fit into Chicago, and that whole time I lost who I actually was, and and I'm trying to get it back now. I'm trying to, and it really, man, I 12 years ago. Okay, so I'm sorry if I'm rambling too much. Just cut me off. But 12 years ago, I went to visit my older brother in Spokane, and it's on the West Coast in Washington. So there's a ton of Hawaiian people out there, Hawaii people and Hawaiians, basically. But I went out to visit him, and he said, he told all his friends, my brother's coming over, so we're gonna have a potluck. And next thing I know, there's like 20 people from Hawaii at my brother's house in Washington. I'm like, what the heck is this? Why do you? That's not fair. Why do you got that? I don't have that in Chicago. So when I went back to Chicago, I made a Facebook group. I was like, okay, I'm gonna find all the Hawaii people. I made a Facebook group, Hawaii, Chicago. I'm trying to, I figured like if you build it, they'll come. But they didn't come just for like 12 years. Nobody was in there except Joanne Silva. She was the only person that was actually from Hawaii. Oh, give a shout out to my friend um, Matt Seaver too. He's a guy I met in Chicago. Haole guy, but he was a Marine. He was stationed in Kaneohe for, for I don't know how many years, and actually he just wrapped up his job up here and bought a house on the Big Island. So he was him and Joanne were the only two people with any Hawaii connection that I knew up here for 20, almost 30 years, until somehow last year I found Frozen Ohana, and then I started seeing all these people from Minnesota, because there's a lot of you in Minnesota. I was like, what the? I told Matt, you guys got the 10th island over there. Las Vegas is the 9th island. You guys are the 10th island. I couldn't believe how many people there were. And so I wrote to Matt. I'm like, how do you got so many Hawaiians up there? We got nothing in Chicago. And he's like, what are you talking about? There's nothing in Chicago. And then he started telling me, and I was like, I started advertising my group on his page, and then he started sending people over, and we got like 300 members now. And the last time we had a potluck, I think 40 to 50 people came, and it just being,
awesome.
I don't even know these people real well, but just being around local people that you can just take the mask off and just be yourself. And there's a connection that you don't have to build. It's already there because of where you came from and what you've been through. And there's an understanding that when you're with local people, that 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 you can't get. Like I've got great friends up here that I've known for forever, but it just you still don't have that same connection as people that grew up where you grew up, and been through the same history, same things that you went up growing up, and just knowing these people really has made my life more pleasant on a day-to-day basis.
Well,
It's I
one
can't
of the
explain it.
things
I can't
I
explain it.
come to realize is Hawaii people don't wait to even make the connection. They meet somebody they know for they're from Hawaii. They just flow right into it, like they've known each other forever because
Yeah,
there's so much familiarity. Because when I first came up for college in Oregon, we'd meet black people, Mexican people, you know, uh, people from Europe, and they were all very picky. When we got to campus, it was like we threw a potluck kind of thing, and we invited them, and they were all in their respective sections of the room, and we were like all over the place,
yeah,
hanging with everybody. And it's like I think that's unique to Hawaii. I mean, I've never really been anywhere else where there's that kind of instant comfort. You know,
yeah. It's sad though. It's I don't see how it's gonna last, because if the house costs $1 million, who that grows up in Hawaii can afford a house? I think they're all gonna end up here, man. And
well,
that's
yeah,
the
because you figure
sad
starting
reality.
out young married couple, there's no way they can touch
No,
$1 million.
even I don't think. I don't think even a doctor, let's say University of Hawaii Medical School, you graduate right now. The pay is so much lower out there, and the homes are so expensive. I don't even think a doctor can afford a house. I mean, what is it? Unless you, if you got your family helping you out or you inherit something, that's a different story. But for somebody from scratch to buy an actual house in Hawaii, I don't think anybody can do that unless you own something, own a business, or you've got some, you can't even a doctor. I don't know what's going to happen if they don't put a lid on this. They got to do something out there, but it doesn't seem like anybody really cares to. So I don't know what's
Well,
going
I
on.
don't know if there's the unity or you need a combined effort, to really, and I think it's so fragmented as far as political affiliations that you just can't get that what you need to,
Yeah.
you know, make things happen. But it's a small world and a funny story because I met Matt because his mom and I graduated from EMEA same year.
Oh wow.
So I
You say
found out
Kamehameha?
first, yeah, I found out first that she was here. So we got together, had lunch, and then she goes, "You should meet my son Matt." I went, "What does he do?" "Oh, he has this little group," and I thought, okay,
I think he's got
because
about
I.
5 little groups.
So we got together, and he and I just hit it off, and we collaborated on bunches of stuff. He kind of talked me into starting this, and then I kind of put the details and the shape to it, and the color and the name, and so we've been kind of looking at trying to coordinate some stuff in Chicago too
Yeah.
along the way. So just to get people meeting each other and hanging out. I've
Sure.
had some pretty long conversations. I think I'll mess it up because it's a hyphenated name. Gigi Monaco Wong.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've never met her in person,
Yeah.
but she's my friend on Facebook. We talk all the
Yeah,
time.
same thing. I've never met her, but she even helped me with some computer problems I was having one
Okay.
time. Because that's my go-to. I mean, social media. If I have a problem, somebody out there knows how to fix it.
Yeah, yeah,
So all you gotta do is put the word out, like the success you've been having with the donation for Maui.
right.
It's you haven't met probably a lot of those people that are donating, but you connect with them through social media one way or the
Yeah,
other,
yeah, yeah. That's a
and you just
good point.
motivate them. You've been doing an excellent job, dude. I mean,
Thanks.
fantastic. I mean, the measured success is amazing. So
Yeah, I
I
think.
want to say too, your necklace right now, is that one of the things you
Yeah, I was hoping you would ask me about that because this is one of the ones I made. I actually made this for my friend. I can get him off. There we go. So, my friend Christian, he uh, he sent me a link and told me, he's doing a fundraiser. I think it was for his son for popcorn. He's selling popcorn. He said, buy some popcorn. I said, okay, I'll buy popcorn, but you got to donate to Maui. He said, okay, I'll donate to Maui. And so I bought $30 worth of popcorn and he donated $250 to Maui. So then later on, I made a necklace for myself. It was kind of like this one. Um, it's got lava rocks, some coconut shells, and a stone called Tiger's Eye. And I posted a picture of it. I just made it for myself just for fun. I saw the lava rock beads on Amazon and I thought, oh, that would be super cool as a necklace. So I made the necklace and then I posted a picture of it and I got all this attention. Oh, wow, that's badass. That's badass. And he said it was badass. And since he gave 250, I told him, I would give him a necklace. And but that original one I put up, I said, since you guys like it so much, anybody donates $30 to, this family, the GoFundMe, I'll give you the necklace. And within 10 minutes, one of my other friends sent $50 to that thing. So I gave him that necklace and then somebody else wanted. So it just went from there. I don't know. I just started doing this. It's been like a month or so, maybe a little over a month, but I probably made 20 bracelets and necklaces for different people already. And I got a ton more. I got a bunch I got to drop off at my wife's family tomorrow. I'm gonna take that out there. But altogether, I think since I started trying to, and it wasn't just the jewelry, but just pushing the GoFundMe's, I raised almost $10,000, I think, for different families.
that is
Um,
amazing.
Yeah, that's not me though. It's everybody. You know, my doctor that I went to for my shoulders, she told me she saw all my stuff on Facebook. And you know, when she was working out a price, I'm like, I told her, don't give me it because I know her as you know a friend, but besides going to her for treatment, I'm like, she's doing all this math, and I'm like, no, don't just charge me the regular price. Don't because it's not covered by insurance. Don't give me any discount. She goes, no, I'm trying to figure out what my costs are so that I can tell you to give the rest of the money to those families in Maui. And so she gave them $1,800 that I would have paid her for my shoulder treatment. $1,800 I split up between three families. Dr. Annette Manabe from Synergy Healthcare in forget the name, Montgomery, Illinois. So she's a great doctor, awesome
Shout
doctor.
out, shout out.
Yeah, shout out. She's got her head in the right place. I mean, she spent 4 hours treating me, my shoulders and everything. And instead of taking that money for her, she told me to give it to Maui. So that's you know people like that out there. It's just it's just awesome to see that.
Uh, and they're coming back. You know, my cousins resettled in Kihei. They're in a long-term situation, year-to-year lease, so they got a house
It's a
now again.
Kenny.
Huh? Yeah.
That's a Kenny fan. Okay.
She just needs to find a job. You know, she's a school teacher, and the school in Lahaina she worked at burned down. So, I mean, you know, I didn't stop to think of it till I talked to her. You know, you hear the tragedy. Oh, they all lost their home. Yeah, but at the same time, you're losing your income.
Yep. Lost their
That
home and their
that's an,
jobs or
oh, that's
businesses.
an even bigger hit, you know, than just losing your house. I mean, and
Yeah,
then
you
she
can't get a
tells me
job.
a lot of
Even if
people
you got
didn't have
money,
insurance.
there's not even any apartments to rent. There's not enough places for that. Even if you give them the money, there's no place for them to go still. You know, they're in hotels, camping on the beach, whatever. You know, it's terrible. And the federal government gives them $700. That's man, that was like an insult. You should have just kept your mouth shut and not give anything because that's just. I mean, how can you look at yourself in the mirror? You're sending hundreds of billions of dollars to another country to fight a war that you could have avoided, and yet you're going to abandon your own people and leave them struggling out there. No jobs, no apartments to even rent.
That's
It's
that's
just
been that's run through my head so many times over the decades where you know you think about you look at this money pouring out outside the US and you look in the US and like people are living at poverty level all over. I mean,
yeah. And Hawaii's the worst, man. Hawaii's the
oh,
worst.
it's just crazy how they make it through and you know logistically too. My cousin goes, yeah, she's fortunate she had insurance. But so what? Like you said, you get the money. There's nothing to buy. There's no contractor to get you another house. You know, so the
Yeah.
insurance, yeah, but so what? Without the labor or the
Yeah, you can't
opportunity,
even if they give you the money, you can't eat the money and you can't sleep in the money. You can't, you know, it's not you know, you need to still have stuff to buy. It's just I don't know, it's a bad situation.
now I know you said you go home back to Hawaii every year.
Yeah.
When was the last time you were on Maui?
Maui, I got an actual friend from Chicago that retired out there. I don't have any family on Maui. But I think about 5 years ago, I was in Maui because he was a Chicago cop. He actually got shot in the arm. Pete Kelly, shout out. um, and he ended up taking his disability and retiring in Maui. And so we went up to, and my wife used to actually bartend with his wife too.
Oh,
So we visited him once, but I think that was probably 5 or 6 years ago, the most recent one. I haven't been there, but to be honest, I don't like Maui too much now. It's just it
it's
doesn't seem
different.
like Hawaii to me as much as I like Kauai.
That's my favorite island.
Yeah, yeah,
I used to go there summers and hang out with classmates that lived there. So, because I grew up on Molokai, but I mean, there's zero opportunity there. They do a lot of bartering on island. You know, trade you venison for you working on my
yeah, yeah.
transmission, and you know,
And I'm
I
not
need
saying
to.
Maui's not beautiful. Maui, as far as it just doesn't have the same vibe that I remember from Hawaii. You know, it just seems more commercial.
Now she's come up a couple different times. Your wife is a Chicago native.
Yeah, she well, her her uh her family's from Elk Grove, which is about probably 40 minutes from Chicago. It's a suburb.
Okay. Where
But
did you
all of
guys
her,
meet?
we met on a friend's boat actually back in 2006 or something, and then we had a lot of friends in common, and then Facebook and all that kind of stuff. We started talking.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
but yeah, her family's all straight from Italy. Like even her parents came here when they were kids. They're all about Italian food. Every single one of them can cook. Her grandfather used to have this banquet hall. He used to have a restaurant. One of them had a grocery store. It is all about food, and it's a huge, huge, overwhelming family, man. They're just everywhere.
Now maybe it's geographical, but like, does your wife talk with her hands?
I don't know if my wife does so much, but definitely I'd say her mother's side of the family, her father, my dad came up for my wedding and met her father, and he loves mafia movies, so he just he loved her dad. He's just like the stereotypical old Italian guy, talking with his hands, yelling and screaming, and yeah, he's a lot of the older ones are kind of like the stereotypes. I miss that's Enzo. Enzo, he passed away a couple years ago during the pandemic.
Enzo, how more Italian
I
than
know.
me can you get?
Yeah, her dad's Vincenzo. Um, but yeah, he was a great guy. I miss that guy.
Now I like to ask the people I've interviewed so far who are in a mixed marriage where the spouse didn't really grow up with a Hawaii connection. Is your wife an open-minded eater?
Oh, more than me. And I love food, but I'm kind of certain things I don't like. But she'll try anything, and she loves everything from Hawaii. So when we go to Hawaii, not a problem at all. Not a problem. I
Uh,
mean, her whole family, they're all about food. They make their own sausage, they make their own wine. Um, so they love trying new foods and things like that. So yeah, that's not an issue at all. She hasn't done it in a while, but she used to try to cook different kinds of. She made shoyu chicken once for me. A couple other things too. I forget exactly what, but we were talking. I never grew up, you know, going back. I didn't have a real close family, so I never really learned to cook or anything. But being up here and being around the Hawaii people and having potlucks now, for the potlucks, we had two potlucks now. Both times I went to the Filipino store and got a tray of adobo because I can't cook nothing. Adobo and what's it, lumpia, the crispy lumpias.
okay.
But it was good. But I want to learn how to make my own food. So I was talking to my mom's. I mean, my wife is an excellent cook. So we're gonna start, making kalbi and a couple other things. I just found out from Roxy up in Michigan. She's in Frozen Ohana too. That
Yeah, yeah.
Chicago, Roxy, um, Seafood City in Chicago sells uhu parrotfish, and so she gave me a recipe. We're gonna go get some. Learn how to make. I, that just blows me away because I thought you couldn't even catch them on a hook. How do they catch these things? I thought you had to spear them. So how are they selling them in bulk in Chicago? I don't get it. But
Just you got a volume, do it by volume, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, it must be nets or something because I don't think they can catch them on a hook, right? Because of the beak.
Well,
I
yeah.
don't know. All I know
Well,
is back
Rock,
home, anytime anybody had uhu, it was because they speared it. But up here, you can get it at the store.
I hope it's not like catfish where it's farm raised or some, some kind of controlled,
Oh, that's a good point. I wonder. Yeah, that's huh.
raise them and ship them out. But I don't know if you could do that with a saltwater fish or not.
I actually heard they do that with some saltwater fish. I was shocked when I heard it. I don't know if it was tuna or something else, but somehow they like fence in large areas of the ocean and they actually raise stuff in it. I don't. This was a long time ago, so I don't know. I might be misspeaking.
Yeah, Roxy, I actually got to meet her and Wes went down to a event Matt planned in Des Moines, Iowa, which is about 3 hours south of me, about 5 hours south of Matt. And they came from Michigan. I mean, it's like they
Yeah,
sound
they
like
came to
they're
ours too. They
traveling.
came to our potluck. That's how I met them. They drove all
Yeah,
the way
I
down.
mean, they sound like, hey, jump in the car, let's go. You know, and 11 hours later, here we are. So,
Yeah, I'm thinking about. I probably. we'll do some road trips at some point because you guys got a lot of stuff going up there in Minnesota. If I went up there, I can see my two cousins. I haven't seen them since they left Hawaii, which was, geez, when we were toddlers.
Wow.
So actually, I take that back. I saw Matthew. He came up one time. I don't know, 10 years ago. I saw him in Hawaii. He was visiting his dad, and then I saw him. But other than that, I haven't seen Shannon, his sister, since we were little kids and picking on each other, fighting all the time every time we got together.
Yeah, but the events would be fun. That one I didn't get to make it to that camping trip they had, where they went to Wisconsin, I think, and
Michigan,
you
huh?
know,
The one, the same one
could
they do
be,
every year.
yeah. But
Yeah,
they've
that's
only done
Michigan.
one, so but I think next summer I'm going to try and make a more concerted effort to take
We're
it.
good.
That looked like a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, Wes and Roxy talked me into it. We got our cabin. My wife's not a big tent camper. We went one time, but she'd prefer a little more comfort. So we got a cabin. But yeah, we're gonna go 3 days out there.
I probably have to figure out plan it in advance too, because I was trying to get up there, and what I've done in a two, maybe three instances is a couple years back we were considering buying an RV. Then the more I talked to owners, I kind of felt like seems like there's a lot of maintenance and upkeep RV.
Oh
So
yeah.
a coworker of mine, they own an RV and they put it into this company called RV Share, where people can come rent it when you're not using
Well, that sounds like a good idea.
it. And since it's kind of mileage based, what I learned from people in the group is you fly to where you want to go, then pick up the RV there. Don't pick up the RV and drive 300 miles
Oh,
to
that'll
go.
save you like hours and hours, like probably days of driving.
Yeah, so you use it more like just your lodging. You're not using it to get from
That
point A
makes
to
sense.
point B. And
I
so
was I was always thinking I would do that when I retire too, get an RV and so I can see the places I've never seen, Grand Canyon and Mount Rushmore and
yeah.
all that kind of stuff. But
But
that sounds
because I look at it, you own it for 12, you're only using it for
yeah.
7 or less. Then you got
Mhm.
all that insurance every month, and things wear and tear when it's sitting under a tarp for 4 months.
Yeah, really. Mm.
Yeah, so we've done that a couple times, and it works out real good. You find out where you want to go, and you pull up the site and say who's renting RVs here, gives you all the rates and the
So
amenities.
you did it already? You already tried it?
Yeah, we've done it
Yeah.
two, 3 times maybe.
What kind of rates do they rent them for?
Anywhere from like 175 to 253 a night.
Okay.
But I mean, you're talking something that'll seat 7 to 12 people.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So, but then you can find smaller stuff because there was only two of us. So we got away for maybe what a really nice hotel to run. So, and
Yeah,
and you have the
smaller one
ability
probably be
to cook
cheaper too,
your
right? If you
meals.
just
And,
got one for
yeah,
two people. Yeah.
but yeah, we've kind of settled on the fact that this is the way to go. I mean, you save a lot of money, especially when you're not using it, because
Right.
ownership has its share of expenses.
Yeah.
So
For a little while when I got out of when I first started making money as a doctor, you know, I got out, I thought all of a sudden I was rich, little I know it, doctors aren't rich. But I bought a boat and it was called Hokulea, actually. I named it Hokulea. But man, that thing was so expensive just to store it in the winter. It was $5,000 to get a dock on Lake Michigan in the summer. It was $5,000. Fill the gas tank was $1,000, and then I wanted to get rid of it, and it was nobody wanted to buy it. It's like a pain in the butt, man. I was so glad to get rid of that thing, and because I really couldn't afford it. That was definitely beyond my means. But
was it something with an inboard motor or outboard?
yeah, it had two window. It was a 37-foot Sea Ray. It was an old one. I think it was, forget exactly, 94 or something, and this was in 2004. So it was It says 20 years old. Is that right? 10, no, 10 years old. 10 years old. But
Yeah, because
anyway,
you know
it was.
it crosses my mind too. I see
It seemed like
people.
it was 20 years old because the thing was breaking down every other. And I'm not a mechanic, so that's even more expenses. And I thought it was a lot older than that. So,
So did you eventually unload it, or
yeah, but man, I bought the thing. I bought the thing for I think it was almost 60 grand. And when I sold it, I was trying to sell it for 3 years, and this was right after 2008, and when I had the market crash and nobody had money. Nobody was buying boats back then. And so I was trying to sell it year after year. I wasn't even using it at that point because it's so hard to, I was working, I was working all nights. I might have a weekend off here or there. Then it rains, so the window of opportunity to use a boat in Chicago is so small, especially if you work a job where you're not free all the time to go use it. So I wasn't even using the thing. I was trying to sell it. Nobody would buy it. I ended up selling the thing for $12,000 just because it was such a drain. I was like, after 1 year of not using it and paying all that money just to have it sit there, I was like, if I keep doing this, I might as well just take whatever somebody will give me because nobody's buying it and it's just sitting there draining money out of my pocket. So,
you got to stop the hemorrhaging one way or the other? You got
yeah,
to cut
it's
off the
terrible.
arm or whatever, and
Yeah, they say when you have a boat, they say the two best days in your life. Have you heard that one before? Two best days in a boat owner's life are the day you buy your boat and the day you sell your boat. Because by the time you have the boat, you just want to get rid of it. And the best boat to have is your friend's boat.
because just a couple months back, it was going through my mind. I saw some guys uh, pulling a boat dock to go store it somewhere on a trailer.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, so you're unable to use your boat now, and now you're paying storage fees for the
Yeah.
dock. And I'm going, how do people do it? It's like you said, oh, it adds up. I'm certain it
Oh,
does.
there's so many unexpected things that you look at it, you think, okay, that's how much the boat costs. I can do that. But you don't see all these. That's a small part of what it costs. Man, it's owning it is way more expensive than buying it. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to be done with that.
How long have you and your wife been married?
We've been together for probably 16, 17 years, but we just made 10 years married in June. So we're coming up on 11.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Does she have siblings? Italian family, I'm sure.
Yeah, she only has one brother, but they're pretty close. Her family in general is really tight, which makes it really hard on holidays. But when the grandfather was still alive, he had the banquet hall, and that was awesome because you'd have extended generations of family. Everybody would come together on Christmas and Easter or whatever. They just have a big party at his banquet hall. But he ended up selling that, and then he passed away, and now got to run all over the place to see everybody. But,
Just curious, you talked about problems fitting in Hawaii, fitting in Chicago. Were you immediately accepted by your wife's family?
yeah, I think so, and especially her grandfather. Her grandfather loved me, and like when I met her grandfather, she warned me. My grandfather is old school, and he's not very polite. He doesn't have manners. He's just says whatever he thinks. So if he says anything that offends you, don't worry about it. He does that to everybody. Nobody gets along with him. But from the minute I met him, he loved me. He was so nice. He would pull
Awesome.
me aside from the parties. Hey, Eric, let's go outside, smoke a cigar. I don't smoke cigars. I hate cigars, but I would smoke them with him just because I felt honored that he wanted to spend some time with just me. And her mom or her dad, they're they're I think being an immigrant family themselves, that probably makes them more accepting. But
It
yeah,
makes
they
sense.
no issues at all, really, as far as that goes. That coming to Chicago was another story. When I first came to Chicago, man, I got all kind. I think Chicago's made a lot of progress since I got here. Because when I first got here, I was getting all kinds of racist stuff all the time, man. People calling me Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan and Chinaman, all kinds of stuff. Man, I was so sensitive about it too because all this time I was trying to fit in back home with all the local people, and I was too howly for them. Now I come here, and all the howlies they don't want me either. So, so that was really rough, man. It was, yeah, but you know what? And I'm not proud to say this. I'm 53 years old. It took me probably most of my life. I just only recently realized I don't care if I fit into from Chicago. I'm not from Chicago. I don't fit into Chicago. I'm from Hawaii. That's where I fit in, and I'm glad I found some Hawaii people that I can talk to about it. And I don't have to pretend to be somebody else or try to fit in or figure out what you do so I can be. I'm just going to be myself from now. You know, I don't know why it took me so long to get to that point in my life, but I'm really happy I'm there now because
It is
trying
what
to
it
fit
is.
in.
Sometimes your journey is longer than other people's journeys.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's shorter, whatever. So, um, what was I just had a thought go through my head. Go so fast, shoots off like bottle rockets, and then I lose them and they're gone. Um, so, oh, I know. Of the local Chicago people that you've met, any of them like close to where you live, or because you live out in the country, everybody's in Chicago that you met?
yeah, they're all closer to Chicago. Actually, Gigi's the one, Wong, the one lady you were talking about. She's the closest to me. She's probably 30 minutes away in the south suburbs of Chicago.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's nobody by me. But I mean, we're only 45 minutes to an hour from Chicago, and you know a lot of them are from the suburbs too. So it's close enough. I mean, it's not like we even hang out all the time. We don't, you know, but just knowing there's a Hawaii connection there. You have people to you know talk shit to a little bit on the. I'm sorry, I don't know how what rated is this podcast? Is this G or PG 13?
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's what it needs to be. So
yeah, it's just fun having some people. Oh, I got I wore this too on purpose. This is from the whole piece, Ikaika and Leilani from Chicago. They make these. It says shy, you know that old thing, Hayn, Hawaiian. So
yeah,
shy Hawaiian. Nice shirt. They make these and sell them. You can probably get anybody want shirts. They're in Frozen Ohana, so just ask them. But
is
I
that
don't
a
know.
business that they have, or they just kind
I
of?
think it's a side gig. I don't know how big it is, but they've made a lot of shirts. They got one from Chicago Bears, but it's got all Hawaii. Got the Hawaii flag on one sleeve, and then it's got like some Polynesian tribal stuff on it. And it's instead
Huh,
of being red, blue, and white, it's the Bears color. You know that navy blue with the orange and white instead.
yeah,
And then they've got several shirts, and I think they're planning to make some more. I don't know how big a gig it is for them, but it's nice, high quality stuff.
awesome. I'm a Yeah, I'm a t-shirt fan. Like we both said growing up, you used to t-shirts. So
Yeah, yeah.
and
Is
all
this
my
your
t-shirts,
is that Kamehameha class of
yeah,
75? Okay.
and all my shirts say something. People here in Fairmont where I live, they just have gotten resigned to the fact that they're never going to see me in a plain, solid colored t-shirt ever. You know, got the Warriors, it's got volcanoes, lava, or whatever. It's all tied in, or I'll pick it up like other groups, side groups will have the Sky Hawaiian or the Frozen Ohana stuff, and just I mean to me it's how boring to go out with a blue T-shirt.
Just a regular, nothing on it, right?
Yeah,
Mm.
so but it's neat. The Your friend Keegan, then you're not actually working on trying to get the event put together at his place, or
Yeah, I am. I'm trying to put all the people together that'll make it happen. I even talked to a chef, Brunson.
yeah, yeah.
I asked him if he could help us out with some recipes if we get something going, so they can
Oh,
give us
in a
something
heartbeat,
authentic.
man. I've asked him
Yeah,
for a dozen
he's
already.
such a good guy, man. That guy's just so willing to share his knowledge. It's just and he's got so much knowledge to share.
Oh,
He's a great guy.
I'll watch his videos and just get blown away by things
Yeah,
that he's saying are easy for him, and it would take me 3 hours to make my way to, this thing that he's doing off the top of his head. But that was his career too. But still, to me, I admire chefs because it's kind of like a musician. They just have this talent where they developed it. They pull it up
Yeah.
when they want. They use it. It's like,
I don't know if you know this, but he is a music. He's like everything, man. He used to be a bodybuilder. He showed me pictures like a professional bodybuilder, like just jacked.
oh,
He's a musician. He plays a tuba or something in some symphony thing. Like he's got pictures of him like holding the tuba with the whole everybody behind him.
oh,
He's one of those guys that just must have so many talents. And then he trains the dogs. Amazing guy. Amazing guy. I'm glad I met him.
it's and I shudder to think what my house would look like if I had multiple Great Danes in my house.
Yeah, really, right?
Wow. Tail goes hanging out your dresser or tabletop to one sweep
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah, by
Oh, boy.
accident, just wagging his tail can be damaged.
Yeah. So me, I've enjoyed involvement with the pros in Ohana just because, like, guys like Chef Brunson, and you just meet so many. To me, it's all interesting. I mean, someone go, oh, my story is so boring and this and that, and I go, oh, you'd be surprised. People just, I get comments on after I post them on the site, and people are just, they look forward to it. Regardless of what they think is involved or what's said, they just like the interaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember there's an afternoon DJ, Sam Kapu, and he was notorious for after he got off at 4 or 5,
He's
he'd
back
go
home.
home, yeah, and he lived in Kapahulu, and his garage was like a neighborhood meeting area. There's like 2 fridges with beverages in the garage, chairs, tables, they'd hang out, cookies, and
That's
uh,
another
he,
thing I was gonna say earlier when we were talking about how hard it is in Hawaii, and then going back to the clothes and all that kind of stuff. I think the hardship in Hawaii is. I think that makes people more genuine, less superficial. They're not chasing. You know, Up here, people care what kind of bag you have, what kind of shoes, your belt, your watch, car. Back home, if you got a truck, you're good. You don't have to go out someplace fancy. You're gonna meet your friends in their garage, like you're talking about. Somebody's gonna bring some poke, case of beer, whatever. Somebody's playing music, or you just put some. I mean, things are. I think we live in the moment more. We're more appreciative of simple things and not superficial. I think that's a big thing.
and they're satisfied with just the necessity.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you say, they don't need the bag and the hat and the watch, and
right.
I have a watch. It tells time. We're done.
I don't have a watch even. I just have my phone. My time's on the phone. So.
I use mine because I drive for a living. I drive a school bus and I drive a city transit, so I can't be pulling out my phone
Yeah,
to
yeah,
see
yeah.
what time it is all the time. But
That probably looked pretty bad.
yeah,
He's
and then
bus
too,
driver's on his phone. What the heck?
my daughter bought me this Apple Watch, and I only use it to tell time. I don't use
Oh, all the
30
different
or
features.
40 features
Jeez,
that paid for with it.
that's
It's
an
like,
expensive timepiece.
yeah, yeah. So she goes, okay, I'll know better next time. So, yeah, you should know by now. Old dog and new trick
Yep. I'm
doesn't
starting to be
always
an old
work.
dog too. I don't like new tricks either anymore. You get old fast. It comes out of nowhere.
Now, here in Minnesota, we're having a super duper mild winter. How's the winter for you guys?
Same thing. Today was the first day the whole winter that the snow stuck, and the coldest it's been I think has been like 33 degrees. It's
Uh, yeah, I told my wife I knew it was going to happen. Last June, I got a good deal on a John Deere tractor with a snowblower. So I picked it up. Been working on it
no,
all
no,
all
no could use
fall,
some notice here.
and I guess I should have known better because it's like the first year I moved to Minnesota, I thought I need some kind of pastime to get me through this horribly cold winter. So I said, I'm gonna buy me a snowmobile. And then my friend told me, no, you should buy an ATV because there's years when you can't use a snowmobile.
Yeah.
Like this year for us, driving all around, I see all the snowmobiles parked in the driveway.
Over here, I don't know how about you guys, but out here all through December it was raining. It didn't snow. It was raining. It was raining on Christmas Day. That's how
We
warm it
didn't get
was.
a lot of rain. We got a little bit, but it's just been dry. It's
Yeah.
just been no rain, no snow, cold. But even then, I think the coldest we've had at night has been 21. And
Yeah.
in
So not
Minnesota, that's
Minneapolis cold, right? Like it usually is.
uh, and I never ever thought I talked to my friends back home who have never really experienced a harsh winter. I said it just blows my mind. I never would have looked forward and told myself that I would be happy on a 20-degree day because the week before it was like minus 11.
Yeah.
And they go, 20? I said, yeah, you
First,
stick your head in the freezer, it's colder than that.
yeah, I didn't we don't understand that in Hawaii because when I was going to Chicago, everybody, oh, it's gonna be cold up there. And I was like, I've been to Idaho when I visited I felt snow. I know what cold is like. But in Hawaii, you don't have a concept. There's cold. You don't know there's levels of cold. You're just like you're either comfortable or it's cold. You don't know there's like bitter cold, like where your face hurts, kind of cold. That's
Almost had to take a
I didn't know about that coming up
almost
here.
had to take a remedial class in wind chill too.
Yeah,
That was a hard lesson learned, boy.
right. I remember when I was still living in Hawaii, I saw on the news out there they were showing how cold it was. It was in Minneapolis actually. They put this pitcher of water in a microwave and then turned it on, got it boiling, and then they threw it up in the air and it just all turned to ice and, as it fell down. It was I was like, whoa, that's boiling water to suddenly it's like ice. That's nuts.
Uh, and I've kind of gotten to the point where really the snow and stuff doesn't bother me. It's the wind. Primarily, it's the wind.
Yeah, I don't mind snow. I'll take snow over rain any day. I don't like rain. But, yeah, the wind is
But
bad.
I don't enjoy ice.
Don't
So
enjoy what was that?
ice as a
Ice.
driver
Yeah,
on the
especially
roads and
driving
stuff.
or walking. Be careful walking, man. I see so many people in the ER. They just slip on ice and they break their leg or break their arm. Just
I know we
man,
had some people we know a couple winters back. The wife was standing in her driveway, holding on to the mirror of their truck, not even taking a step, and just went down.
jeez. Yeah, it's dangerous, man. Ice is terrible. It's bad.
Uh, and being the so-called windy city, you guys probably get your share of ice when it's a real winter.
Yeah, we get a ton of, in Chicago though, I got to give them credit. They're at least, well, I guess it depends what neighborhood you live in, but in the downtown area, they're on top of it, man. As soon as it snows, they're salting, plowing, things, they really stay on top of everything. Where I am out in Indiana, not so much, that, it'll be ice for a few days before anybody gets out there to put salt down. So you got to be careful out here. But Chicago, they do get it, but they manage it pretty well. But that's not entirely true because if you go into the poorer neighborhoods, they don't get you know, the same maintenance that they give the downtown area. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess they're not perfect, but they do a pretty good job, at least downtown, keeping it clean and safe.
So from your house to work takes you how long?
So now that I'm working out in Indiana, when I was working in Chicago, it would take me 40 minutes to get to work because I was working on the south side of Chicago, and I'm south of Chicago, so it was pretty close. It would take me 40 minutes to get to Chicago. But I would do that 16 times a month for 12 hours. Now I drive an hour east into rural Indiana, and that takes me a little over an hour, maybe an hour and 5 minutes. But I stay there for 24 hours, so it's I'm driving less now doing that than I was before because I'm
Yeah.
getting all the hours out of the way, you know, in one sitting.
That's good. I'm sure in the long run it adds up and it helps. So
Yeah, now you got podcasts and stuff. There's so many things you can do while you're driving. Listen, audiobooks and stuff. Driving's not that bad, but I love my drive. Especially in the summer or the spring when I'm driving out in the country. Compared to my drive, even if it's a shorter, faster drive when I was driving into the city. Oh man, it was traffic, crowds. As soon as I would pull off the freeway to get the exit to go to my hospital, there's homeless people. They just coming up to your car trying to get money from you. It was just a stressful drive compared to now. I drive through trees and blue sky, and there's no cars anywhere. It's nice. It's a lot nicer.
now I have a doctor question. You talked about 24-hour shift. So you just kind of sleep when you can,
Yeah,
or do
it's
you
a
get like
small
a
town.
lunch break, sleep break, kind of where nobody bothers you?
So there's places in Hawaii, I think Molokai and some of the hospitals on the outer islands where they work 48-hour shifts. And the reason is you're not working the whole time. The town is small, so there's not nobody coming in. So look, the town I'm working in right now, there's only 3,000 people in the whole town, and in the whole county, there's only 30,000 people. So we get busy sometimes, and it's not easy. But at night, it usually slows down and it's dead like 5 6 hours where there's nobody there, so you can sleep. And you know, there are times when you just get the bad luck of somebody comes in, and as soon as you're done with them, another one comes in, and then that goes on through the night. But usually, even if that happens, you can, as long as it's not something critical, you can just put some tests in, get a quick nap, and then the nurse wakes you up when everything's back, and then you look see what's going on, and then finish it up. So there's, yeah, even it. I'm not working 24 hours. My shift is 24 hours,
Like
but
a fireman, probably, yeah.
yeah, exactly like that. Yeah, yeah. Although the firemen in Chicago and the paramedics in Chicago, they do 24-hour shifts and they don't stop moving. And I give those guys a lot of credit. They just go from run to run to run. They never stop. It's 24 hours.
I think in a big metropolitan, yeah, it's going to be like that because you're drawing from so many areas, I guess, or so many people
Just the
concentrated. You're bound
population
to
density too is just so high compared to out in the country.
somebody's going to be getting hurt somewhere,
Yeah.
or hurting themselves, or hurting others, or whatever it happens to be. So, where do you see yourself in the next 10, 12 years? Still in Chicago?
So I think so. I think so I told my wife, it's so hard to know how much money you need to retire these days because everything's so unpredictable, not like it was before. So it's kind of hard to know for sure. But I told my wife that when I'm 60, so that'll be, geez, it's getting close, 6 years now. I'm gonna at least partially retire. So I'm not gonna be, you know, beating myself up. As long as I, can still save some money you know, right now I'm mostly working for the future, and so it's not like we have a lot of expenses. But if I'll probably at some point, I'm not sure if I'm going to try to retire back home. I might try to do that. It's going to be really hard for me to give up 10 acres and go settle on something I can afford in Hawaii, though.
Yeah.
That's the issue, So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm still trying to figure it out. But I want to go home. If I don't, I'm going to find a way where I can at least spend a lot of time there. Even if I have to live here, maybe I can go there for maybe get a small apartment there and go there for
And
the summer.
really, depending on energy levels and activity levels, you know, complete retirement, zero employment, I don't think people even really want it. You know?
I hear that all the time. I disagree with that, man. Anybody who says that to me, I tell them you got to get some hobbies then. I mean, I could, especially during the summer when in the spring when the weather's nice, I could just be. Well, I guess I got the yard. I could just be outside in the yard. The land, man. Having the land is so nice. I told one of my friends I could spend one day just digging a hole, and then the next day I'll just fill the hole back up, and I feel like I'll feel great. I feel like I did something. It's rewarding. Just something about being outside, working, outdoors and getting a little dirty. I think that's primal. I think it stimulates something that we lost, especially like in Chicago when I was living in the city. I definitely was missing something. Like coming out here, it helped a lot. And I'll lose that if I go back home. So I'm really still struggling to figure out what I'm going to do when I retire, because I like having this property, even if I want to be in Hawaii. I like where I live. So
That example you used of the digging a hole and you get back in, I don't know if time wise it would have overlapped your life or not, but have you ever seen Cool Hand Luke with
what is it?
Paul Newman? A
I missed it.
movie called Cool Hand Luke.
Oh no, I never saw it.
That he was, in a chain gang and the main guard or warden or whatever he was would go, Luke, you got dirt in my hole. Get it out of there. They make him dig a hole, and then they make him put it back. And then they dig it. It's like,
Oh really? So that's a
yeah,
real thing, digging a hole and then filling it back up. I didn't know that was a
but
real thing.
that was for punishment. So,
Right. I
but I
bet they
always
weren't
do.
enjoying it as much as I was.
Yeah. So it's. But I can hear the guy going, Luke, you got your dirt in my hole. Get it out there. So it's
Yeah,
it's a classic. If you enjoy movies, you ought to try and track that one down. Cool and Luke, Paul Newman.
I'll look it up.
Yeah. Uh, see how easy this is again? We've had it an hour and a half, no
Yeah,
hesitation. So
hour and a half, huh? I
yeah,
guess when you're talking, it just flows. It was easier than I thought. I was real nervous coming on here.
I'm glad. I'm glad. You got it under your belt now. So
Yeah.
well, I've got to head out, but do you want to leave us with any Eric Moon words of wisdom before you take off?
Well, I don't think I have any words of wisdom off the top of my head. If you would have told me, I could have thought of something really cool. But right
We
now,
can
no.
always post it after the fact. So after I know this stuff.
Okay.
So mahalo, man. It's been fantastic. I can't wait to meet you in person. One of these days we'll get out to Chicago or
Yeah, if you come to Chicago, definitely let us know you're coming. Maybe we can get everybody together. Maybe we'll be having some event or something we can let you know
because
about.
Matt and I keep talking about trying to coordinate meeting
Yeah,
out
he's
there at the
mentioned it a
same
couple of
time.
times.
So
I'll be at the camping trip if you're gonna go up there. This coming camping. I think it's August. I think I forget.
yeah,
So, and then
somewhere, somehow we'll do it.
yeah, I'll probably end up in Minneapolis too one of these days. Um, since you guys got so much going on out there.
Awesome. Brother, have a great winter. Happy 2024 to you and your wife. All the best.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Kermit.
I really had a great time. Thanks. Take care.
All right, me too. Thank you. Take care.